How's it going, guys? Welcome back to Fraud on the Telly. In today's video, we're going over all the crazy Critical Role fan theories from last week's episode, where some crazy stuff happened. FCG went full murder bot. As well, Ira the Nightmare King absconded with the Moon Tide Crown. We're going to be going over all those theories and more on this week's Critical Role theory video. As always, if you enjoyed the video or learned something new, make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Don't forget to check out some of our other Critical Role content, as well as for all my Game of Thrones fans out there, we are doing a new series, the House of the Dragon Breakdown, so make sure you check that out. Okay, let's get right into it, shall we? So on last week's episode of Critical Role, FCG went full murder bot, full Aeor murder bot. It's funny because a lot of people in the community had theorized from FCG's backstory that in fact it was FCG that was the one that attacked his fellow party members back when Ashton found them. If you don't know what I'm talking about, FCG's backstory from their perspective that we knew up until this episode was that they had adventured out with their creator Dancer and their fellow automatons. They had been sent to clear some cave. There they were attacked by a red one-eyed monster that basically destroyed all of FCG's party, presuming that Dancer, his creator, was in fact dead. This is when Ashton found them, and this is when their story together started. However, now we know that this is most likely not the case, as Ashton, when he's watching FCG go full murder bot, suddenly remembers that FCG, when he found him, only had one eye, and his eyes glow red whenever he snaps like this. Now, this has got the fandom absolutely up in arms, and by arms, I mean their pens and their keyboards typing away for their theories, and we got a ton of them right now. A lot of people speculate that this is possibly FCG's true form and personality. We know that FCG was constructed by Dancer, at least that's what we believe, as Dancer used an Aeormaton core to create FCG. Now, Aeormatons we know are special because they're the only automatons that are sentient, basically people capable of emotions, thinking, all of these other stuff. They're not just programmed for tasks. So several theories go along this line, that Dancer, not knowing that this was an Aeormaton core, possibly they did know it was an Aeormaton core, tinkered with it, trying to create a personality, a role for FCG. We know that all of Dancer's automatons served some kind of specific function. It seemed very much like she wanted FCG to be the healer, the therapist. It's possible this was not his original purpose, and this is what she tried to construct it. In doing so, she suppressed a lot of his original, I guess, psyche or original personality when he was constructed as an Aeormaton. As many speculate that the Aeormaton core that was used to create FCG was potentially in some combat or war robot from the Calamity, as we know that Aeor developed numerous weapons to confront angels, gods, demons, all of these things. It wasn't just robots, it wasn't just the Aeorian hunters or their great weapon that could possibly kill a god. There was a ton of stuff that we just don't know about that they used as weaponry. Personally, I like this theory. I think there's a lot to go on here, obviously a lot of speculation, but I'm very curious to see as FCG further delves into their memories or they further get triggers for their old memories, what sort of Calamity knowledge that we get from them, and just exactly what kind of Aeormaton were they. Another theory along the same lines then is it's less about FCG reverting back to his old form and more about the suppression of his human nature, I guess, for lack of a better word. One Redditor points out that the relationship between FCG and Dancer is one where very much it seems like FCG was forced to suppress his humanity, his personhood, as Dancer very obviously views them as more of a tool, of a robot, not exactly like a person, a living thing. We know this because of how FCG talks about themselves all the time, constantly questioning their purpose, questioning their existence, their personhood, all of these things. One Redditor theorized that Dancer tried to turn FCG into this chipper, happy-go-lucky robot that he is today and that we love him for, but in doing so, try to suppress a lot of his humanhood, his personality that comes from his Aeormaton core. So basically, in doing so and making him less human-like, having this blend of positive and negative emotions and only making the positives, and then making him a conduit for others' negative emotion, it basically causes this bottleneck. Think of it kind of like storing energy up. So FCG is this entity that is all positive emotions and then takes negative emotions from other people, storing them basically inside of himself until he wells up, this possibly causing the stress overload that forces his circuits to go all frying, why he goes all murdery. It seems to me like there's definitely some truth in this, as FCG very much in its current state has constant qualms about its personhood, its humanhood, its existence as a robot or as a person. This very much seems to be from his relationship with Dancer. One writer theorizes that it's very possible that Dancer abused FCG in some kind of way, possibly verbal, and the lines that FCG said to the party whenever he split, the really messed up stuff that he said to them, was basically FCG's projection of whatever's happening inside of them onto the other party. Now, this is going to make sense when I break it all down. So, for example, when they say, "You were never alive" to Laudna, now, this is something that is Laudna's fear, an inner working inside of Laudna's mind. The fact that she's a dead girl, not really alive, not really dead, and has confided this in FCG and a lot of the problems that they have, you would think that this is FCG basically throwing Laudna's baggage back into her face. But this is also something that FCG struggles with. Am I alive? Am I a person? Am I just a tool? Am I a robot? This seems very much like projection, FCG's inner emotional turmoil being thrown back out to the party. Another thing that they say is, shut up, shut the fuck up. Now, I wonder how many times Dancer could have said this to FCG. Is this possibly some resurged emotions coming from FCG's experience with Dancer, or possibly something even before, back in the Calamity, resurfacing? As well, when FCG tells Fern, your parents never loved you, they don't like you, they left you alone, this is kind of what happened to FCG. In a way, they were kind of left alone. They're one of the only Aeormatons left from the Calamity. They're very much alone in their existence and their kind of existential thought compared to all other robots. This also plays into the fact that FCG thought for a while that Dancer abandoned them. Once they learned that Dancer was alive, it very much seemed kind of like Dancer did abandon them, when in reality it seems more like now that FCG went crazy, attacked Dancer, and Dancer said, nope, I'm out of here. Let's not cut Dancer some slack, though. Dancer does not seem like the greatest person ever, but hopefully they give us some answers in the upcoming episodes. Switching gears here, a bunch of people on Reddit, after the confirmation that this was fraudonthetele, started speculating on what the role of the Cerberus Assembly would be with the big Ruidus events and the stuff taking in the Feywild. This Redditor brings up the links between Dunamancy and the Cerberus Assembly. Obviously, we know that the Cerberus Assembly is very invested in Dunamancy from Campaign 2, and they even still have a beacon, I believe, and the technology to turn the Luxum into this liquid form, the stuff that Gianna Hexam had, interlinking into Ashton's backstory. Now, is there a link between the trade of Dunamancy into Marquette with Gianna Hexam and the Cerberus Assembly, fraudonthetele, and what's going on in the Feywild? Is Hexam potentially linked to whatever the Cerberus Assembly's plan is in some kind of way? It brings a lot of questions up. Knowing Matt Mercer, things are oftentimes linked. How they're linked, we don't know, and we can only speculate, but it's very often that he will bring stuff up with the intention of linking it to a greater plot point. Right now, Hexam in the Dunamancy trade is like this point that's like off the scatter chart of everything else that seems to be linked with Ruidus and the other characters' backstories. I'm curious if this point over here is going to be brought in with the rest of the story, interlinked in some kind of way. My guess is yes, of course it is. The Cerberus Assembly, we know, is extremely powerful and extremely influential even still after the events of Campaign 2. They're constantly scheming, constantly up to no good, with guys like fraudonthetele at the helm, so I can only imagine that whatever they seem to have in store with Ruidus in the Feywild, whatever is being planned, possibly some kind of grand war, even though why would the Cerberus Assembly want another war, a war with the Feywild, or possibly to bring the Feywilds into Exandria. What's going on with the Grey Assassins? I guess it's simply this: the Cerberus Assembly see a way to harness power. We see what they've done with the Luxem, what their attempts to do with the Luxem were. We can only imagine the same logic from that can be applied here. They see power, they want to take advantage of it for their own selfish gains. We don't know exactly how it is, but I can almost guarantee you that's what's going on here. A bunch of other people have been speculating on what this grand kind of event that seems to be happening in 30 days, 29 now, I guess, with the Apogee Solstice. Is this going to be a Calamity Part 2 event, basically, where the whole landscape of the world of Exandria is going to change dramatically, upping the stakes, basically making an all-hands-on-deck-esque scenario, kind of akin to the Chroma Conclave in Campaign 1. We know the Tal'Gori Council is semi-aware of what's going on. We know that Bell's Hells have been in touch with the Tal'Gori Council by sending the body of Bertrand Bell to them. We know that Aurum is linked with Keyleth, who obviously is linked with members of the Tal'Gori Council. We know that the Grey Assassins have attempted to kill Keyleth, but we don't know why. I'm very curious on how Keyleth and the Ashari link into the rest of this Ruidus story. We don't know. There's a bunch of speculation with Moon and Moon Druids and things like that. Possibly this is just Keyleth's role as protector of all things nature and super powerful druid, but I'd like something a little more concrete, but we just haven't been given it yet, or I can't seem to think of or see what the link would be between all of these people. But it very much seems like this is going to be some sort of grand event, most likely one that can't be stopped or partially gets stopped but leads to an even greater story. This has been mentioned several times, but the stuff that Bell's Hells are wading into as a party is way beyond their level. If there really are gods inside of Ruidus, this is some stuff that's like mid to late teens, 20 level campaign. So whatever it is they're handling now is they're way out of their depths. This doesn't mean that they can't stop it, but it very much seems like things are heading down a certain road. However they're going to manifest themselves, we don't know. I mean, we don't even know if the god theory is actually true. Everyone just assumes it is because it makes the most sense. I'm curious what your guys' thoughts are. Let me know in the comments down below. What do you think this great event is with Ruidus that's happening with the Apogee Solstice? Is it the release of some gods? Is it possibly making Ruidus the permanent moon in the sky, which could possibly create more Ruidus-born people, which could possibly empower Ruidus-born people? There's just so many possibilities out there right now, so many awesome theories and speculation. Only one of them can be right. I'm very curious to see what it ends up being. As always, guys, if you enjoyed the video or learned something new, make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Let me know your theories of FCG, FCG's backstory, and what's happening with him as this Mr. Murder bot in the comments down below. As always, guys, don't forget to check out some of our other Critical Role content, and I will see you all in the next one. Stay safe out there, guys. Peace, love, adieu.